Here we are looking at a painting by the Austrian artist Gustav Klimt. Now, Klimt was Vienna's leading painter at the turn of the 20th century. But I think today he's probably best remembered as being a founding member of what was known as the Vienna Secession, which was a group formed in 1897 of artists and sculptors and architects who were all unconventional and were pushing away from the more traditional and academic styles of artistic expression. This painting is called Farmhouse in Upper Austria. It was painted in 1911, and it was during these first couple of decades of the 20th century that Klimt really celebrated the pure essence of nature during spring and summer months away from the city of Vienna in the Austrian countryside.
I don't know about you, but for me, the very first thing that kind of caught my attention sensation-wise were the leaves on these trees. Initially, I thought maybe silver birch, and on doing a little bit of research, I saw he's painted a picture called Farmhouse with Silver Birch or Farmhouse with Birches. But I am certainly not a tree expert. Perhaps the bark of these trees speaks to a slightly different variety, but it's the leaves that I was really curious about. They really caught my attention. The sound, that delicate rustle perhaps of leaves of that shape and size, and the sensation of, the noise that they are making perhaps by just brushing with each other on this, what looks like a very spring and summery kind of day.
What Klimt does is he uses a series of yellow and green stippled brushstrokes to give us this very dense canopy of leaves. They're incredibly dominating. They take up really sort of over half of the uppermost part of the canvas, and behind you can see these serpent-like branches weave their way, and the leaves are interspersed with a fruit of some sort as well. It probably won't surprise you to hear that Klimt spent much of his early career decorating the interiors of palaces and prestigious buildings in and around Vienna. I find these leaves very decorative.
It also made me think of what that sensation of the breeze that's rustling in the trees would feel like on our skin, perhaps, or if we were standing in that field. That gentle brushing. I mean, it's hard to look at this painting without taking in that sea, that carpet of flowers, spring, summer flowers, and I just can't help but wonder what the scent of those would be like. I mean, it's extraordinary. It looks like someone's just thrown one of those seed bombs onto it. Amazing variety of colours, obviously, which is such a gift to the eye. But the sensations of the smell of what a carpet like that could smell like, especially in this kind of, looks like, as we mentioned before, this spring, summery day, that heat activating the scent of spring and summer flowers, and even the grass, which has that such distinct smell. At that time of year, wondering if that might be infused into the potion as well.
Yes, the flowers. The meadow of flowers plays a similar role to the leaves in the upper part of the canvas, in that it frames the distant farmhouse. And then, of course, we have the two tree trunks either side. It's lighter in tone and, of course, full of colour. And although it feels very impressionistic at first glance, Klimt has taken great care to represent different varieties of flowers, and flowers are very dominant throughout his entire oeuvre. I mean, if we think of The Kiss, Klimt's most famous painting, painted only a few years before this painting, the action actually takes place on a meadow of flowers, which is often overlooked in favour of the more dominant subject matter and gold and wonderful cosmic background.
The last thing I noticed actually in this painting when I was looking at things that were stirring up the senses were that patch of sunflowers at the back on the right. It really made me think, I touched on it slightly earlier, of the warmth of the sun. Perhaps that same sunlight warm on our face, on our arms if we were standing in that garden. And also what that sun is doing to the wooden house, the wooden farmhouse. You know, that smell that wood can have when it's in the sun. Again, quite a distinct smell. It really evoked that sense of summer for me. And also, it's a small detail, but the shadows that he's painted by the bench, again, just giving that reminder of the temperature that we would be experiencing in this picture.
The farmhouse is such an interesting tool in this painting. Not only does it give us a little bit of light relief from the visual noise of the leaves and the grasses and the flowers, But it also reminds us of the insignificance, really, of humankind in and amongst the power and dominance of nature. We can see the rather pathetic looking bunch of flowers on the windowsill on the far left there, in comparison to the exclamation of colour and scent offered by the natural meadow in the foreground. I think it's very clever of Klimt to create this small vignette onto another world, which is then repeated again in the independent windows in the side of the building. Yet, of course, there's so much intrigue because, of course, we have a complete absence of human life. Who lives here? Who exists in this paradise?